and the Regional Administration Milk Division of the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. With me is Mr. Fazir Ali, AEA of the Livestock Extension Unit. We are in the Regional Administration Milk Kitchen, and we are going to show you how to make Paynuse, which is an Indian delicacy traditionally made out of the first milk when a cow gives birth.
Wait, how can you make Paynuse without cholesterol milk?
Well, I tried to source it, but it was difficult.
So you're going to show us how to do it with other milk?
Yeah.
I guess the texture might be different.
Well, we will see. But remember, I always experimented. So I tried to make Paynuse with different types of processed milk, including the full cream milk, the evaporated milk, and even the pasteurized milk from our farmer. So we will show you the two methods on how to make Paynuse using a combination of the UHT milks as well as the pasteurized milk. So we will focus on using my first method, which is a combination of the UHT milks. And the UHT milks that we will be using is the full cream milk. This one is the Nestle local fresh cow's milk from our farmers in Trinidad. The carnation milk, we use in 1 pack and 1 in this. We'll use also some vinegar, brown sugar to acidify the milk, and then we will use some spices, and this would be clove, whole spice, cinnamon spice, and elaichi. This is an open pack. And then we have ginger here and a little bit of sea salt. What the sea salt will do is to just balance everything out. Also, we'll be using some powdered milk, full cream powdered milk. And then now we need our utensils. And we need a strainer. I'm using a fine strainer here, and this is a colander. Then, well, my tongs for picking up the utensils that we will sterilize. Just bear in mind, we need to sterilize everything. We need cleanliness and sterility when we are dealing with milk. My trusty thermometer, my wooden spoon, my measuring cups. I have half cup, I have a cup, and I have quarter cup. Then I have my spoon, my whisk, my trusty whisk again. I have a grater to grate the ginger, and then my measuring tablespoon. I have a tablespoon, I have a quarter teaspoon, and I have 1 teaspoon here. And then this is a ladle. This will help us to scoop up the curds. Oh, I forgot. The cheesecloth is important because we're using a quick method to strain off the curds. So the cheesecloth is important to capture all of the curds. So we're going to combine the UHT milks. So this is 1 liter. Bear in mind, I sterilize my pot. 1 pack. This is 330 mLs. So we're going to bring this up to 1 liter 330 mLs. We are not going to add any water to this, right? What we need to do now is to add 1.5 cups powdered full cream milk. 1 cup. This is the half cup. We just whisk this in. I want to whisk this in before we put it on the stove. And once I get that smooth consistency, we put it up on the stove. Okay, so we want to put this on medium low because we don't want the milk to overflow as it heats up. So what I'm doing here now is to clip my thermometer so I can can monitor the temperature. What we want the temperature to reach 185 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is close to 85 degrees Celsius to 93 degrees Celsius. And you need to stir the milk as it's heating up. So right now it's close to 100 Fahrenheit. So I'm going to use half cup of this and 1 tablespoon when the temperature reaches 185 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Bearing in mind that is 85 to 93 degrees Celsius. Right, so we'll set this up here, and then we'll use 1 tablespoon out of this when we put in the vinegar. Remember, we want the temperature to be 185. It has to be boiling, it has to rise up, and as it rises up, we will know that's the time when to put the acid in. Once we see the milk bubbling up and coming up, then we can add the acid and what I can do in the meantime to encourage the curdling. As soon as we reach the temperature, I will put in first the sugar and then the acid. We want this to bubble over a little bit. Bearing in mind, I am stirring this so that it does not scorch to the bottom. What I will do, it's coming up very close to the 200 mark. See, it's reached up to a boil without my adding anything. So the temperature is over 200 and it's close to 215, right? So to prevent any spillage, I took off the flame, and what I'm gonna do now is to add the sugar. And then I'll add the acid. So you see I'm doing it slowly. I'm not doing it in one. And I'm stirring this, and you will see how it's coming in. Look at that, it's coming in. Okay, so just a little bit more. So what I will do, I will put back on the stove just to allow this to boil a little more, right? But I'm setting it, I'm keeping it set there so the acid and the sugar can do. So typically a lot of people, what they do, they would actually boil this. So this is the very lowest. Okay, so you see how it's coming in even more now as it's boiling. So this is what we want. This is what we want to see, right? But we need to keep stirring this so that it does not come up too much and overflow. And notice the temperature is maintained here because I put it very low, and I'm stirring this to make sure that it does not flow over. Good, perfect. I think as soon as you see these curds and the pulling away from the water, this is when it is ready to strain out. We can actually take this out now. So you see how the curds are? Right, so this is good. This is perfect. I'm gonna take this off the stove. Okay, so I set up a bowl with the strainer on the inside and my cheesecloth in the strainer. I'll separate it. So you see why we have to stir it constantly. We don't want this thing scorching to the bottom. It started to scorch just a little bit. But that's not a problem, right? So we're gonna let this hang out for like a minute or two, and I'm gonna put it back in the pot. So I'm just draining this slightly, and then I'm transferring this with the bowl to another bowl, and then into the pot. Okay, so this weight is about 700 millimeters. And if you want to dry that off, you can go ahead and dry it off in the curds, but I use a quick method to separate it. The curds in the pot. Okay, so what I have here is my spices, and this is 1 tablespoon ginger, 1/4 teaspoon Himalayan pink sea salt, 1 teaspoon cinnamon powder, 1 stick of spice, and 6 cloves. And I will also put 1 teaspoon in elaichi or cardamom powder. Okay, we don't want this high, we want this on low. Okay, and let's combine now. We're going to spread this out a little bit, but we don't want this too much spread out. I don't want this too dry, so what I can do is to put a little more of the water into this. So I'll just put a little bit, maybe about a cup. This is just to break it up a little bit, but not too much. You don't want it to break up too much, because Paynuse generally comes out like a cake or in clumps according to the day that you would have received the milk from the dam. I'm going to put in my ginger, my salt, my spice, my cinnamon. I'm stirring this in. The cloves, I'm just going to put 1 teaspoon in the elaichi. You can put less if you want. You could put more if you want. It's up to you. It's to your taste preference, right? And you don't want too much of water, but some people like it a little bit dry, and then some people like it a little bit moist. So it's to your preference, right? I think this is good. And there you have it, right? Taking this off again, right? And as this cools down, it will actually soak in the remaining water. And I will put in half of this, right? This is half, close to half, right? And I'm gonna stir this in. Remember, you want to distribute this evenly. I did take off the pot off the stove, but that's okay. It still has the heat and it will combine. This is the first method, and we will go on to the second method. Okay, so I did not dry this down too much. I wanted some moisture in it. And as this cools down, it soaks up the water. So I will suggest that to keep it moist, you retain some water in it. So this yielded about 800 grams or 28 ounces of Paynuse. And I spent about $70 to purchase the items to make this version. So if you want to buy Paynuse, you may have to spend up to $25 for 56 grams or 2 ounces. So this is a big savings for you if you can make it at home. We're gonna do the second method using the pasteurized milk. What I did was to empty out 1 liter of the pasteurized milk into the pot. And what I'm gonna do now is to put 1 container of the evaporated milk in the pasteurized milk. Make sure you get out all of it. Bearing in mind that the same amount that we use to make the UHT milk, we are using the same amount of milk. And then now what I'll do, this is 1.5 of powdered milk, and I'm going to whisk this to a smooth consistency now. We're going to take this to the stove now. I'm putting it on medium-low heat like before, and I will clip my thermometer. So I clip my thermometer, and we want this to go up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, close to 210, 215, which is about 95 degrees Celsius. Close to 100 degrees Celsius. So what this will do is to make sure that the pasteurized milk, if it has any bad bacteria, it will be eliminated by the heat. And it's starting to boil. I am seeing it boiling. So what I will do, I will put in the vinegar and the sugar. Put in the sugar first. 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Stir this in. So you will see this is bubbling. It's slightly bubbling. It's coming up to the boil. It's rising slowly, but we don't want it to rise too much. Like last time, it will come up a little more, and as it comes up, then we will put in the vinegar. It's coming up. I'm going to put in. Slowly I am putting this in before it overflows. And you will see it's turning quicker than the last time, right? And in the first one. Wow. Take this off before it boils over. And let this sit for a little while. See how nice these curds coming out. And wow, look how fast these curds are coming out as compared to the UHT milk. So there's the difference using the pasteurized milk. It comes in faster. Right? So we're gonna cook this in a while. We're gonna let this sit a little bit more for it to form completely. You can see how the curds are pulling away from the liquid. I don't want to break up the curds too much. I'm just gonna allow the acid to work in and form more of the curds fully, because it's pasteurized milk we are using and not the UHT milk. And the pasteurized milk is really used for cheese making as well as raw milk. So I'm using a clean cheesecloth, a different cheesecloth, to scoop this out. And I'm going to put this in here. What I'm going to do now is to just strain this a little bit, not too much. Bring this back into the like before. I will use 1 cup, same 750 or 3 cups, 750 mLs or 3 cups of whey we got from the curds. And what I will do, I will put about a cup. Just gonna cook this a little bit, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just add my salt. This is 1 teaspoon of the cinnamon powder. Cloves. I'm gonna put in the milk one time. Remember, I'm using half of this, right? Half tin is being used. It's gonna come in. Use the sticker spice, and this is the 1 tablespoon of ginger. I'm just gonna bring this in. It's a little bigger than the other one, the one with the UHT milk. So when we finish, we're gonna do a taste test. This has to dry down a little more, and then we will plate it out. We didn't get the same type of bowl to show you. It's the same amount. And I actually paid $55 for the pasteurized milk, along with the different spices and the different milks as well. So I saved again, and I got a bigger saving. Let's taste. Let's do the taste test. We got this one. This one is cooler, right? This is a UHT one. Okay. This is the pasteurized one. This is a little hot. Just fluid. But bear in mind, as it cools, it will taste different. Which one you think?
I like pasteurized milk one. I find it tasty. So yeah.
It has more of the Paynuse flavor. Yeah. And it has the same flavor, both of them, but it has a different mouthfeel. Yeah, a different texture. Let's try this one. This is a cold one. Obviously, it's gonna taste different. This one is a little chewy because it's cold.
It's a little dry than the other two. So it have different textures. So that dry and the other two is a little bit moist.
But bear in mind, when you put this in the fridge, it could reach to this consistency. And this, because this had some water in it, similar to this. But it's your preference if you want it a little dry or a little moist. So we've got a good consensus with Fazir and myself. Fazir prefers the pasteurized milk. What's your take on that?
I like pasteurized milk because I find the texture is nice, the flavor, the originality is there still. And I think that if we encourage farmers to use pasteurized milk, then they won't have to go for colostrum milk to deprive the young animals of it. So we can substitute the pasteurized milk for colostrum milk in making Paynuse.
As compared to using the UHT milk?
Yeah.
So the UHT milk, for me, I like the UHT milk as well, but definitely we would recommend the pasteurized milk, using the pasteurized milk to make your Paynuse. Thanks for watching our video, and expect more on our value added series.